Today we're going to use power scripts from C Prime to create a workflow validator that prevents a transition if a field in the subtask has not been filled out. So let's go ahead and start making our script. So I hopped over to the SIL manager and I'm going to go to workflow validators and open this folder, and I'm going to make a new file. See require. Okay. So I've made my validator file, and I'm just gonna pop over to another validator that I already have and just kind of start with that code. Yeah, okay, I don't know what happened there. If a field in the subtask is populated. So the first thing we're going to do is, or the first thing in the script is the error message. So we need to write a clear user error message to the user so they know what they did wrong and why they can't transition the issue. So you must you must have a value in the, we're going to use the fruit field. It's just kind of a standard example field that I have in the project. Must have a value for the fruit field in a subtask entered before this issue can be completed. Something like that. And we'll put it on like the done transition. Okay, so in this one, they're checking for the size of the fixed version. So what we need to do is we need to first get the subtask, then we need to loop through the subtask, and then we need to check the values of the subtask. So let's see how we do that. So up here, I'm going to create an array. I'm going to say it's a string, so it's going to be an array of keys, and we'll just call it subtasks. And we can actually set the value, and we'll say subtasks. I believe that is correct. There's a function. Nope. Okay. All right, I'm over here in the documentation to see what I did wrong, and I just needed the issue key as a parameter to the function. So we'll just say key because we are in the context of an issue. This script is firing as part of the workflow, so it knows which issue it's talking about. So here, well, we're not ready for the if. We're going to loop through all the subtasks, and we're going to say for string, we'll do st for subtask in subtasks. And this will create a loop for each subtask, and we can say if st dot fruit, and let me show you why I can just say fruit. It's one thing I always like to use is what are called aliases. So when you create a custom field in Jira, it assigns an ID, and you can see that ID in the URL when you're editing that custom field, or you can see it in the database. But here in PowerScripts, you can actually set an alias to the value of the custom field ID here, and I can now just use the word fruit, and I've created an alias to that custom field. It's very, very helpful. It's much easier to read your scripts if you use aliases. It's much easier to, say, develop in a development environment and then promote to a production environment, because then you just need to change your alias file, not a bunch of scripts. It's just a good practice. So we're going to use another function. We'll say is null. Let me change that. Is null is a valid function. We're going to use is not null. And the reason is I'm going to create a boolean. We'll say has field equals false. And if we find that one of the subtasks has the field, we'll set it to true. And if we've looped through every single subtask, because we have to account for multiple subtasks, and at the end of the day, we still find that none of these have the field, then we come down to this if statement and fire this and say return this error message, and we'll give it a type error. So let me just check this. So that looks good. So now all we need to do is assign this to a workflow. So here I am in my sample ticket here, and I have a subtask, and I know I just created that subtask, and I know that the value in there is blank. So I'm going to just hop over to my, let's see, this is a task. Hop over to my project, and we'll go to the workflows. We'll go to the one for task, and we'll edit it. And we'll go to the mark as done transition. We'll go to validators. And this is from another video. We'll just get rid of that. Really should clean these up when I'm done, but you know. I pushed it. Alright, and we want sil validator, which is the PowerScript simple issue language. And we can just use an existing file since we've already created it. In workflow validators, require field and subtask. And next. And finish. And then we can just publish. And I'll say no because I live life on the edge. Alright, so now I'm in the test ticket, and if I say mark is done, it should prevent me from completing this transition because I haven't filled out any fields in the subtask. So then we get a nice little error message. Come down into the subtask. And there it is. Say banana, since my 6-year-old just thinks bananas are the funniest thing. And now I'm back in the parent, and we'll say mark is done. And now it should just go straight through. And that's it. That's how you create a validator that requires a field to be completed in, oh, you know what? We have one more test. Let's delete this. See what happens. What happens if it... Right. So you must have a subtask and the field. So that does work. right, so anyway, that is how you create a validator that requires a field to be entered into a subtask before you can close an issue. Thanks for watching.